What's going on, guys? John here with MachMotorsport, and today is a sad day. And I'll tell you why it's a sad day. Because we're getting rid of my 2018 Honda Civic TypeR. I know. Hang on a second. You're probably all saying, dude, didn't you just get that? Yes. And if you just watched my last video with my short/long-term owner review, you'll know that I actually really love this car. And I'm not going to lie, probably one of the best cars that I've owned. And I'm going to put a little asterisk beside that. One of the best it can do everything cars that I've owned, if not the best. I'll talk a little bit as to why I'm getting rid of the TypeR and what I'm getting. If you watched the last video, you'll know that I love the car. I think it is a remarkable car. It does everything well. And again, I stand behind that if you're looking for a sports sedan that's practical, reliable, and economical, that offers an abundant amount of performance for the money, you cannot go wrong with this car, especially if you're considering purchasing a new SI sedan or a new Civic hatch. I really encourage you to go look at these things used, because you'd be surprised as to how much you can pick them up for and the amount of value you're going to get for a price of a new SI sedan or a new Civic hatch, like a sport hatch or touring. You can get yourself into a moderately used TypeR and have a lot more fun and have something that is really kind of special. A number of things have basically changed in my life to where I don't really need to have one car does everything, so to speak. So if you're the kind of guy that, you know, you have a relatively modest budget and you can't necessarily afford to have a track car / daily driver, this is really kind of the best case scenario. Or if you're the kind of guy that wants a performance-oriented vehicle for the street as a daily driver, and you've got maybe a bit of a commute, you want to have fun on that commute, and you occasionally see an autocross or you occasionally see a lapping event, again, great car to own. One car payment, one insurance payment, and only one car to maintain. You can't really go wrong with that. And it's a Honda, so you're not going to really go wrong with that. However, if you have the resources to have more than one car, would I tie up this much money into a fun car? No. And again, that's really subjective. It's really going to boil down to your finances, what you like and what you enjoy. But for me, a $40,000 five-door sedan is not necessarily something that I can justify taking out to the track, abusing the shit out of, and hoping I don't put it into a wall. You have to kind of sit down and go over things. And the other element too is that it's too nice of a car for me to be doing that to. I mean, like, if I'm being fair, like, they're not abundant. They're a special car. It has maintenance in it. Do I really want to start tearing it apart for the sake of taking it to the track? Probably not. Additionally, I've also come to conclude that if you're going to be competitive at the track, not only are you going to want to do these things and strip the car out and make it more competitive, make it more light, make it louder, but again, you always kind of walk a fine line between modified car for track purposes and modified car for street use. Modified car for street use, you want it to be moderately loud, not too loud. I'm getting older. I'm going to be 40. So, you know, I don't want to have all this drone and buzziness on my daily commute. Additionally, I don't want to have rock hard suspension. It's going to break my back. Whereas in a track car, a competitive track car, you know, there are going to be compromises. There are going to be comfort compromises, specifically noise, ride. And I've always enjoyed that track car / weekend car is always an event. It's something you look forward to driving. It's a vehicle that you're like excited to get into, because what you drive Monday through Friday is boring. And then the weekend comes around, or an evening, and you want to go out for a nice little rip. You want to grab a coffee and maybe just go for a little extended drive. Or maybe you're going to a track event. You want it to be an event. You want it to be a little bit loud. You want it to be a little bit raw. And I will say that as good as this Civic is, it really lacks a lot of the rawness that you would want out of a weekend fun car. And I'm not saying that it's this Civic exclusively. just about every modern car right now has become too comfort oriented. You're really missing out on the rawness. And me growing up as kind of like an 80s and 90s kid, growing up with like San 240Z or SX, you know, and seeing Datsun 240s and 280s, you know, that light front engine, rear drive, well balanced, even first gen Miatas. I mean, all of those cars hold a special place because they were basic, they were simple, they were fun. It didn't require an engineer's degree to maintain. Again, trying to get something, when you're looking to modify something, and I look at this car, for instance, you know, and it's not the most advanced cars. It's not like a German car. This isn't an M2, even a Mini Cooper for that matter. It has enough tech in it that it starts to take the simplicity out of modifying out of the equation. I really enjoy a car that not only can I wrench on myself and feel confident in doing so, but doesn't require special tooling or programming or whatever the case may be in order to get that job done. The difficulty is finding some of these older cars in good shape are near impossible. In order for you to get what I would say modern day performance out of them, you're going to have to probably spend a little more money than you would. It's with no surprise that my next vehicle is something I've already owned, something I'm super familiar with, and that's of course going back to an 86. The thing about the 86 is that it's simple. The 86 really, then the more that as time goes by, the more we begin, if you're a car guy, the more you can begin to appreciate that car for its simplicity. The engineers, they knew what they were up to with that car. They knew, the designers, Toyota and Subaru knew what they really wanted to achieve out of that car, and it was basic fun. End of story. Oh, and it's often touted that it doesn't have enough horsepower, but I'd argue that if you drive the thing right, it has the right amount. Could you do with a couple of little extra horse here and there? Sure. And you know what? I stand behind owning 3 of them previously, now going on to my 4th. I do stand behind that doing the right amount of bolt-on mods, that will give you the right power that you need to make it very quick around a circuit. Maybe not a high-speed circuit, but for a lot of the tracks that we have around here, like Toronto Motorsports Park, for instance, and Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, the driver training track, Shannonville, for these circuits around here, for these tracks, that car's got more than adequate power. You're not at neck-breaking speeds where you're going to kill yourself. And furthermore, it's a simple car to work on. It's simple to maintain, easy to maintain, and the consumables are inexpensive. And you cannot beat the price point for its tunability and its fun. Especially now, in the resale market, they've been coming down and down and down. And as a matter of fact, I've seen a handful of them while I was out on my quest looking for one. I've seen a handful of them for around the 12, 13K mark, which I feel, in my opinion, is a really remarkable deal. They're in the new Miata. If you're looking for a track car, an inexpensive track car, weekend car, buy one. Because they're abundant. At the moment, they're abundant. They're inexpensive. They're inexpensive to own, inexpensive to operate. End of story. What more could you ask for out of a track car? Pads are cheap, tires are cheap, and they're fun. They have the right amount of balance, low center of gravity. You can't go wrong with it. You know, why the BRZ? Why not try something different? Because I've owned 3 before, going on to my 4th. Why not do something different? I looked. I honestly did. And I weighed out all my options. And the reality is that when I started looking at the checkbox of things I wanted out of a vehicle, because I didn't want to get something too old. I didn't want to be chasing all sorts of problems, but I didn't want to get something too new that it was going to be like the TypeR, far too modern, have too much, like a little too much complexity, and that has the ability to be a performer. And having it owned 3 of them before, I know what they're capable of. I know what these cars can do. For me, it was a very easy decision. They're a fun car to drive, even in stock form. They're the kind of car that at low speeds, you have a lot of fun. And that is not something I can say about the TypeR. The TypeR at low speed is a Civic, which is great. Because if you want a car that's Jekyll and Hyde, this is the kind of car you want. At low speed, there's no theatrics. It's a boring, everyday, run-of-the-mill Honda Civic. Boring, albeit, good car. When you want the power and you get it out on a track, you get onto your right foot and the power's there. And that's where the Jekyll and Hyde comes. Then it becomes a monster. The thing is remarkably quick, and it opens up, it becomes alive, it handles really well. That's what's cool about this car, about the TypeR. But you have to drive it at high speeds to appreciate that. As a matter of fact, when I test drove this car, I had to take it out on 2 different test drives because the first test drive I wasn't convinced. I'm like, I'm not paying that much more for that. And then on the second test drive, with the salesman's permission, he's like, just have fun with it. Being somewhat responsible, I had fun with it, and that's when I realized how special the TypeR is. Whereas in the 8.6, the BRZ, the 8.6, the FRS, those cars at low speeds, and I mean low speeds, they're fun to drive. You can't beat a rear drive vehicle. On throttle oversteer at low speed is fun. At high speed, it gets a little scary. But the difference is that on a regular basis, at low speeds, without breaking any laws, you're gonna have an abundant amount of fun in that car. At high speeds, it's a remarkable car. Yes, is it as quick as the TypeR in a straight line? No. Speaking of which, just struggles to get grip. Figured I needed to do that, seeing as how it's the last day with it. And that's where the TypeR really shines. You get it at that high speed, it's a ball of fun. Is the FRS as exciting, or the 86 as exciting and as exhilarating in a straight line? No, it's not. Let's be honest. Unless it's supercharged or turbocharged. I mean, but again, for as often as you get to do that on the street, it's not really the effort and the money and the resource to go that way. I'm going to follow up into my next video, my new 8.6. I'm not going to do a review about it because I'm pretty familiar with the 8.6 and BRZ. But I will discuss the remarkable deal I did get, because as of right now, as I record this, we're in quarantine with COVID-19. We're all doing our part. I'm an essential worker. I'm out and about, and I'm headed to work. There are some remarkable deals out there, and I bought this car sight unseen, online, from a dealer. Did everything online. As a matter of fact, they're dropping it off at my workplace today from 3 hours away. They're making the 3-hour drive to drop it off and to pick up the TypeR. So I'm excited. I can't wait for the new vehicle. And I can't wait to record it and share it with you guys. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for all your support. Please like and subscribe. Comment below. It really means a lot to me. You know, I don't do this for any sort of monetary gain. I do it because sometimes I get bored and I like to ramble and hear myself talk, and I like to do it on video and maybe share some of my accolades with you guys, because I'm a car guy and I genuinely like cars, and for those of you who genuinely like cars, you'll appreciate this too. So thanks again, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.